Imagine for a second that your entire life, like your physical body, the clothes you're wearing right now, the incredibly realistic world you see out your window is actually just this massive auto-running video game.
Right, like a simulation.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're talking billions of lines of code executing flawlessly to just, render your reality in real time, which, I mean, that alone is a pretty standard sci-fi trope at this point.
Oh, totally. We've all seen the movies.
Right. But the terrifying twist of our journey today is this: you are the programmer of this game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You're the one constantly typing away at the keyboard and, well, you're the one writing your own bugs into the system.
Yeah.
Like every glitch, every terrifying monster, every impossible level that keeps you up at night with anxiety, it's all you.
It is a profoundly unsettling thought, honestly, to realize that the call is coming from inside the house, so to speak.
I mean, yeah.
Because when we face immense suffering, the absolute last thing we want to hear is that we coded the suffering ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's also, well, it's incredibly empowering once you truly understand the mechanics behind how that code is actually written.
And understanding those mechanics is, our central mission today. We are doing a very special, highly requested deep dive today. A listener sent us this incredibly passionate message, complete with a ton of thank you emojis, by the way, asking us to decode this paradigm-shifting set of materials from the Australia Buddha Activity Association.
Yeah, it's a really brilliant synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern technology. It translates these concepts that are thousands of years old into a framework that a modern mind can instantly grasp.
Exactly. And we're looking at sources that feature teachings by speaker Benny, requested by Master 3, and compiled using Notebook LM and DA, right?
Right. And the foundational text we're looking at draws on what's known as the 30 system of mindfulness.
Also called thrice yearning, I think.
Exactly, the thrice yearning wisdom. It bridged the gap between metaphysical philosophy and the kind of hard computational logic we literally use every single day.
So we're going to set a ground rule before we dive into the deep end here. This will not be a dry, historical, religious studies lecture.
Definitely not.
Instead, we're going to use modern concepts like, coding, AI, virtual reality to unpack the foundational logic of life, death, and reality itself. Okay, let's unpack this, because this deep dive is essentially an instruction manual for seeing and then completely rewriting the underlying code of your reality.
And to rewrite the code, you first really have to understand the hardware that's running the simulation.
Right.
The source text throws down this massive, just highly counterintuitive claim right out of the gate to kind of shock the system. It states, quote, "Birth is definitely not birth. Death is definitely not death."
Okay, wait, I cannot let that slide.
I figured you might say that.
I mean, I have to push back on behalf of everyone listening right now, because that sounds like a glitch in the Matrix right there. Death is not death. Like, if you have ever held a newborn baby, or if you've ever stood at a hospital bed and felt the crushing physical grief of losing someone you love, it's visceral.
Absolutely.
It is the most real thing a human being can possibly experience. So casually dismissing those profound moments as not birth and not death feels, I don't know, almost insensitive.
It does, and it's the ultimate cognitive hurdle we all face,
Yeah.
right? We are biologically wired to trust our eyes, our heart rates, our deepest emotions.
Right, because we feel it in our bodies.
Exactly. But the speaker in the source material, Benny, uses this brilliant analogy to break this down without invalidating that human pain. So think about a high-definition computer screen. Imagine you're sitting in a dark room watching a massive blockbuster sci-fi movie. On that screen, you see a star-going supernova, galaxies exploding, or, a deeply tragic scene where a character passes away. The visuals are intense, the phenomena are changing every millisecond, and you might even be crying.
Yeah, like total emotional and sensory immersion. You forget you're even in a room.
Right. But let's look at the physics of that moment. During that explosive supernova, did the physical glass of the screen create anything new? Did the screen itself actually catch fire?
Well, no.
And when the movie ends and just fades to black, did the screen die alongside the galaxy?
No, I mean, it's just glass and pixels and light. The screen itself is completely untouched by whatever tragedy or explosion is playing out on it.
Exactly. And in this framework, the screen represents our self-nature, or what in traditional terminology is called emptiness.
Emptiness, okay.
Yeah. It is the ultimate container of reality. It's the only true, unborn, and undying thing that actually exists. The exploding stars, the dramatic battles, the births, the deaths. Those are the movie.
So they're just phenomena.
Right. They're temporary illusions flickering across the screen. They're incredibly compelling. They make us weep, but they are not the screen itself.
Wow, that reframes the stakes completely. It actually reminds me of playing a really immersive VR game.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Like, imagine putting on a VR headset and dropping into a terrifying survival horror game. A monster jumps out of the shadows, and your physical body reacts automatically. You scream, your heart pounds at like 150 beats per minute, you're sweating.
Because your brain thinks it's real.
Right. It is unequivocally real to your nervous system in that exact moment. But then you reach up, take off the headset, and realize you've been sitting perfectly safe on your living room sofa the entire time. Nothing actually attacked you.
Yes.
So the sofa is that emptiness, the underlying stable reality, and the terrifying game is the illusion of life, birth, and death.
Exactly. The sofa didn't spawn the monster, and the sofa doesn't cease to exist when the game is unplugged. The source material does offer a very strict warning about this realization, though, from Benny.
Oh, really? What kind of warning?
Acknowledging that we are sitting on the sofa cannot just be like a fun intellectual exercise. It can't just be rote philosophical memorization so you can win debates.
Meaning we can't just nod along, read the book, and say, ah, yes, the sofa is emptiness. How profound.
Right, because rote memorization is utterly useless when the simulation fights back.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, this understanding of the screen must become instant muscle memory. Because when life throws a devastating medical diagnosis at you or sudden financial ruin, you shouldn't have to pause in a panic and say, wait, what was the philosophical formula again? Oh, right, the screen.
You don't have time for that.
Exactly. It has to be an immediate, instinctive realization in the core of your being, or else you'll just default to treating the illusion as a deadly reality.
So you basically have to feel the fabric of the sofa even while the monster is actively screaming in your VR face.
Yes, exactly.
Which is an incredibly tall order for a human nervous system. And it leads me to a massive question. If we're sitting on this VR sofa and our lives are this generated game, who is actually writing the script?
Ah, right, the causal transition.
Because frankly, some people seem to be playing a really relaxing, cozy farming simulator, while others are stuck in a horrific, unrelenting survival game from the literal moment they're born. Like, why is the map so different for everyone?
This is where we transition from the hardware of the screen to the software of the game itself. The ancient wisdom breaks our generated reality down into two distinct categories. They're called Zhengbao and Yibao.
Okay, those sound incredibly dense. How do they map onto our gaming metaphor?
Very intuitively, actually. Think of them as gaming terms. Zhengbao essentially refers to your character's hardware specs and internal stats.
Oh.
It's your physical health, your innate IQ, your psychological predispositions, your appearance. It's basically the avatar you load into the game with.
Got it. And the other one?
Yibao is your starter village. It's the environment you spawn into, the city you live in, the socioeconomic status of your family, the random NPCs walking around you, your coworkers, your boss.
Okay, I am going to stop you right there because this is exactly where the programmer theory falls apart for me.
Why is that?
Well, if you're telling me I am the programmer of my reality, I have a serious bone to pick with my own coding skills. I definitely did not sit down at a keyboard and type out the code for getting stuck in brutal traffic today.
Right.
I didn't write a script that says, execute command. Boss yells at me in front of everyone. I didn't do anything. I would never intentionally create that kind of suffering for my character.
And that is the ultimate blind spot we all operate under. We assume programming requires sitting down intentionally, opening a terminal, and typing logical syntax.
Yeah, that's what programming is.
But in this operating system, your code is being written continuously, 24 hours a day, by your everyday thoughts, your complaints, your emotional reactions. The term used is Kishin-dong-nyeon.
Wait, my internal monologue is the code?
Every single time you feel a flash of judgment toward a stranger, every time you sit there and doom scroll, spinning a fictional anxiety-inducing scenario in your head, you are literally compiling lines of code. You are giving instructions to the server.
Oh, this is genuinely terrifying. So when I get angry in traffic and I'm honking the horn and just seething, that anger is not just a reaction to the traffic.
Nope.
That feeling is me actively slamming the enter key, executing bad code, and forcing the system to generate the next terrible scenario for my character.
Exactly. You're constantly building the haunted house you were trapped inside.
But wait, if we possess this immense world-building computational power, why don't we just program a perfect, peaceful life? If we know our thoughts are the code, why are our lives still so chaotic?
To explain why our output is so flawed, Benny introduces this really brilliant comparison to modern AI video generators.
Oh, I like this.
Think about how a machine learning model processes a prompt.
Right. If you've ever played around with an AI generator, you know the prompt is literally everything. Like if you want the AI to generate a beautiful, serene lotus flower sitting on a calm pond, you have to use highly specific objective language.
Yes.
You describe the lighting, the species of the flower, the camera angle. The source text actually calls this state of clear, objective input knowing things as they are, or Rusi-Z.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is that the universe's processing power works exactly like that AI generator. It has infinite computational capability, but it has absolutely zero capacity to process subjective emotional tantrums.
So if you just sit down at the AI prompt and furiously yell, like, I want a pretty flower and I'll be mad if I don't get it,
Yeah.
the AI doesn't understand human emotion.
Oh, doesn't.
It just looks at the chaotic, conflicting inputs, anger, demands, frustration, and spits out a glitchy, multi-limbed monster.
Yes. That glitchy monster is what we experience as daily life. We desperately demand happiness, but the code we input is just full of fear and greed, and the universe compiles that toxic code and hands us back a glitchy, messy reality.
But why are we incapable of writing clean code? Like, why do we constantly add these heavy, toxic, emotional filters to everything we perceive?
The text describes our predicament as a dimensional suppression, or a dimensional strike. We are fundamentally trapped in a lower dimensional perspective, which blinds us to the objective reality of the screen.
Dimensional suppression. Okay, how does Benny explain that?
Well, they use this brilliant analogy comparing our perspective to an old-school 2D pixel Mario from the original video games.
Oh, like 8-bit Mario.
Right, Mario only exists in two dimensions. He can only perceive what is directly in front of him or behind him, a flat green pipe, a flat pixelated turtle.
Right, he's totally trapped on that flat plane.
Exactly. From Mario's perspective, he's just walking along and suddenly he leaps 10 feet into the air.
Because someone pressed the jump button.
But Mario's 2D brain cannot possibly comprehend why that happened. He has no concept of a 3D world outside his screen where a human player is holding a controller. The 3D player is completely invisible to him.
Wow, yeah, he just literally lacks the sensory equipment to perceive that higher dimension.
The Source applies this to our spiritual cosmology. It explains that a being operating at a slightly higher level of awareness, like what ancient texts call a bodhisattva, well, their footsteps and actions move in ways that a lower-level being simply cannot perceive.
Because we are trapped in the 2D Mario mindset.
Right, we're completely blind to the 3D reality of the sofa. We don't understand how the universe actually functions, so when we encounter something unexpected, our 2D brains panic.
And we react with fear.
And as we establish, fear writes terrible code.
So if we are stuck playing as 2D Mario, just drowning in our own glitchy, fear-based programming, how do we actually escape? Do we just try to change servers?
Well, that brings us to the methodology for an ultimate system refresh. In this tradition, continuously chanting the name Amitabha is meant to be a massive foundational reboot of your personal code. It executes a master reset, or turning the fundamental Dharma wheel.
Okay, I want to jump in here because the source material highlights a massive, very common misconception about this specific practice. A lot of people hear about chanting to reach the Pure Land or the Western Paradise, right?
Yes, very common.
And they conceptualize it as this physical destination. They treat it like it's a premium 3D map that you get to go to after you die. A literal utopia with, like, gold and jewels everywhere.
Treating the Cure Land as a material, physical location is a fatal error in the code. It completely misses the point.
So what does this all mean? If we aren't trying to earn a ticket to a physical paradise with gold streets, what are we doing?
We have to shatter that illusion and return to the foundational rule.
Mm.
All phenomena are illusions on the screen.
The movie isn't real.
Exactly. If you treat the Pure Land as a physical destination with literal jewels, your intention is still flawed. You are still writing code based on low-level 2D greed. You haven't actually exited the game.
You just want VIP access to a prettier level.
Precisely. You just want a better illusion. The source actually quotes a beautiful poem to counter this. It says that the Joyous Land has no VIP list or customs border. If you awaken and generate the right intention, the lotus blooms right in the middle of your noisy, stressful world.
Ah, it blooms right in the middle of traffic.
Right. You don't abandon the mess to find peace. The peace blooms directly out of the mess because you rewrote how you perceive it.
But how do we actually maintain this awakened state so the lotus can bloom, especially when our phones are constantly buzzing with terrible news?
It's hard.
The host points out a specific phrasing in the source. Well, the source points it out. It says, the lotus blooms like a full moon. Does that mean we have to wait for the lunar calendar to refresh our code?
Benny actually laughs at that in the text. It has nothing to do with the literal moon. The full moon means doing the internal work in one continuous breath without fragmentation.
Which is so hard because our modern attention span is basically a game of whack-a-mole.
Oh, cool.
We chant or meditate for a minute, then pop a funny video notification. We whack it,
Yeah.
then pop a thought about a snack. Our focus is completely fractured.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture of coding our reality, that fractured focus means your system updates are full of fatal gaps. You write one line of clean code, then 10 lines of distracted garbage.
So how do we stop playing whack-a-mole and hold the connection?
Through a physical anchor. The text outlines this intense physical practice. Master 4 stepping down, sounding the instruments, and a massive group chanting 500 times.
Using a 108-bead mala, right, counting about 5 rounds.
Yes. And it's crucial to understand mala isn't just jewelry. It's a highly engineered physical anchor.
To drag your wandering whack-a-mole mind back to the present moment.
Exactly. You use the tactile sensation of the beads to violently pull your mind out of the generated illusion and back to the physical present. It binds you to the continuous breath.
And then comes the deep system debugging, right, the repentance phase involving chanting names like Guan Yin and Mahasma Prapta.
Yes, which operates as a deep system antivirus sweep. You have to look at your old, greedy, angry code, recognize it as garbage, and delete it to let the system reboot.
Man, this has been a mind-bending journey. We've learned that we are the screen, not the explosive movie. We are sitting on the sofa, not fighting in the VR game. Yet our daily thoughts are the exact keystrokes writing the glitchy code of our lives.
It's a huge paradox, but it's the truth of the system.
I want to sincerely thank the Australia Buddha Activity Association, Speaker Benny, Master Fourth, and the production team of Notebook LM and DA, as well as the listener who requested this deep dive. You've offered us what feels like the highest level antidote to the daily grind.
It really is an antidote.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final unmentioned concept to chew on. Since you are constantly writing the code of your reality through your thoughts, what happens when your code bumps up against the code of the people around you?
Oh, wow.
Are we all unknowingly stuck in a massive multiplayer co-programming session? And if so, how much of the glitchy world we share today is just a clash of 8 billion poorly written emotional algorithms?
That explains the state of the world perfectly.
Right. So when you take off your headphones today, I encourage you to observe the very next thought that pops into your head. Pay attention to it because it is the first line of code in your brand new reality. We'll see you on the next deep dive.